Hello everyone, and welcome to something a little bit different today. I just woke up, as you may be able to tell by my frazzled look. I just woke up to some new balance changes. Blizzard coming in hot with the blue post on some upcoming changes that will be happening on October 18th, which is only a couple of days away. So we're going to go through there, we're going to read through the blue post, we're going to have a bit of a chat about things, see what we can kind of, what kind of information we can kind of scrape off of this. Maybe we can make a couple of bold predictions, but probably what will happen is we'll make a bunch of very safe predictions because we don't want to be called out on the internet. Alright, so these are there are only 3 changes. We've been used to some pretty big changes in the past, the changes earlier in the year with Call to Arms and Spreading Plague and Spiteful and stuff like that. It was a massive change list. So this one is a nice short one. We've got Giggling Inventor, now costs 7 up from 5. We've got Mana Worm, now costs 2 up from 1. And we've got Aviana, now costs 10 up from 9. So let's go through and we'll read kind of the explanations of why Blizzard have nerfed all of these cards. Alright, Giggling Inventor will cost 7 mana up from 5. Giggling Inventor is one of the most powerful and popular cards we've ever created. There's virtually no downside to including it in a deck, and because it's neutral, it's played in almost every deck. We think it's important to take risks when making powerful cards, especially when it comes to neutral taunts, given the role that they play in encouraging minion interactions and making games more interesting. However, Giggling Inventor has stepped beyond its intended role, and we feel that it should be as effective as it currently is. We don't feel that it should be effective as it currently is. We initially tested the card at 6 mana in both the current standard format as well as with cards that will be released in the future. Ultimately, we felt that its power level was still higher than is appropriate for a neutral card with no build around requirements. At 7 mana, we expect Giggling Inventor will find its way into fewer decks in general, but be much less effective in Quest Rogue, while it might remain situationally playable within specific deck archetypes such as Evolve Shaman. So, something really interesting that I was talking about before I started recording is that how does a 6 mana Giggling Inventor compare to Sunwalker? Because I think Sunwalker is a really interesting comparison. You get the same amount of stats from a Giggling Inventor as you do a Sunwalker, 4/5. Both have some kind of taunt, some kind of divine shield. But ultimately, I would still say that a Giggling Inventor at 6 mana is better than a Sunwalker, and only slightly so, rather. So it's interesting that they say that when they tested it at 6 mana, they still felt like it was too good, because I would look at Sunwalker and I would look at Giggling Inventor, I'd say, well, Inventor's a little bit better, maybe 10% better. And I think that's okay. Especially when it comes to, Sunwalker doesn't see a lot of play. It's kind of what we'd call a benchmark card, or like a measuring stick card, where, if this card isn't seeing any play, and you release a card that's worse than it, why would we play this card over this measuring stick card, when there are plenty of cards better than this card? So it's interesting to me that they say that it was too powerful at 6 mana, even with the mech synergies, even with the battlecry synergies, even with all these other stuff. They're definitely right in that it makes the card significantly worse in Quest Rogue, and that was one of the most frustrating cards in Quest Rogue. It really helped them lock the game down after they'd finished the quest, or to help them finish the quest. But yeah, I think at 7 mana, this is the first change we've seen in a very long time, which is a really heavy-handed change. Blizzard's actually been really, really good in the past with, you look at Spreading Plague still sees play, Dark Pact Lackey still sees play. Call to Arms right now, unfortunately, just because Odd Paladin is kind of the premier Paladin, not seeing much play, but I think Call to Arms will come back at some point. But most of the changes they've made have been very well done. Cards still see play afterwards, and that's exactly what you want. Knife Juggler's the best example. But Yeah, I think this is the most heavy-handed one we've seen in a long time, and I don't think Giggling Inventor will see much, if at all, play afterwards. Good thing is it's not a nerf to cards like Dr. Boom, as Giggling Inventor is not in the mech pool or anything like that. Also not enough to Omega Assembly, that stuff. Anyway, we'll move on from there. I also don't think it will see play in Evolve Shaman. Mana Worm. So this is the more... This is the most surprising change to me, I think. I think in general this is the most surprising change. Over time, we've been moving away from powerful early game 1-drops like Mana Worm. It can often feel like the outcome of a game is decided by whether Mana Worm is played on turn 1 and if it could be removed quickly by an opponent. True. Mana Worm has also steered us away from making powerful low-cost mage spells. We'd like Mana Worm to remain an option for decks it synergizes with, while preventing it from being a huge turn 1 threat. At 2 mana, it will be easier to deal with Mana Worm the turn that it is played, and it will be harder to buff it with cheap spells early in the match. We still expect it to remain an option in decks that have a early focus on cheap spells, but it should be a less appealing option in decks that aren't built with that focus in mind. So, I guess there's a couple of interesting things. Biazel mentioned they should have just made it a 1-2. 1-2? I agree with that. I think the difference between 2 health and 3 health is colossal in the early game. And by reducing it to 2, it means that, you know, it is more easily removed by 1 damage hero powers, by... It gets killed by Backstab, it gets killed by cards like Slam or Flame Geyser. Like there's a lot of options that still kill it, whereas, or even like Odd Rogue Dagger, like that gets it down. So it makes it significantly less powerful as a 1-drop. Because as a 2-drop, I feel like it might get lost in the shuffle. Especially when, you know, we've started seeing more and more people kind of reach out further and try and find that ideal 2-drop for Tempo Mage. You know, we started with Celestial Emissary, then Blood Mage Thalnos, then Mana Worm. People started experimenting with Spell Shifter. There's plenty of people trying plenty of different things, Archmage Aragorn and stuff. And I think Mana Worm kind of gets lost in that shuffle. I think it's just another 2-drop and not necessarily a fantastic, amazing 2-drop. Especially when you compare it to cards like Archaeologist, the one that searches for a secret. Archaeologist, whatever. When you compare it to that, it is significantly worse. So it's the big picture thing is, why are you nerfing Mage? And admittedly, you're nerfing the most powerful card in Mage, but you know, why? What results was Mage putting up that wanted you to, you know, push people away from it? Or is this purely a, you know, we have had our hit list of 1-drops and we're slowly going through them until Arcanologist. We had our hit list of 1-drops and we're slowly going through them one at a time until we eventually get through all of them. Eternium Rover, you're next. But yeah, because, you know, it's super surprising that of the standard nerfs, Giggling Inventor and Mana Worm, like, there's no Druid cards in here. Like, I think a lot of people were clamoring for some big old Druid nerfs. But I guess Blizzard feels that the way that the meta is right now for standard is great, other than the ubiquitousness of Giggling Inventor. And they are happy to kind of give Mage a bit of a nerf, because not many people were playing it in tournaments and things like that. Like it's like an easily replaceable thing. I bet they now regret making the new Mage cards and the new my gosh, Dark Rituals. I bet they now regret making the new Mage Classic cards crap. I don't think they regret that. I think they wanted to make all of those cards bad, right? Yeah. But I mean, yeah, you're right. They had an opportunity to potentially print an interesting mage spell or cool one drop or something like that to kind of make up for this. But oh well, who cares? Who cares? And I think mage will definitely survive. I even saw some people already experimenting with mana wormless mage lists, like pure burn mage. So and doing quite well. I think who was it? Someone was 12-0. I'll have to find that deck and play it. Anyway, the last change here is a little bit less relevant for us. Aviana will now cost 10 mana, up from 9. Changing Aviana to 10 mana means it will no longer be able to... Oh my gosh. It's too early in the morning, friends. Changing Aviana to 10 mana means it will no longer be possible to play Aviana and Kun the Forgotten King on the same turn without some additional help from cards like Innovate or the Coin. It also means Juicy Psych Melon will no longer draw both Aviana and Kun. This should make the combos Aviana and Kun produce less consistent while still allowing decks that use the combos to exist for the players that enjoy playing them. I think that is probably the most succinct like little paragraph that I've ever seen, especially about a card nerf. You know, many people were clamoring for a Juicy Psych Melon nerf. This you know, just so happens to be a nerf to that card. It still makes that combo playable. You just need a bit of extra help with cards like Innovate. So if you had a 5-card Aviana Kun combo, it's now a 6-card Aviana Kun combo, and people are still going to go for that because a lot of those Aviana Kun combos really fun. And obviously not, like I said, we don't play a lot of Wild, but I'd love to hear all the people who are all about that Wild. I'd love to hear what they think about this change. Is it too much? Is it not enough? Etc. etc. I've got plenty of... that's an interesting one. Shoutouts to Vu Shaman over on Hearthpone with the the interesting comparison. But yeah, those are the changes. Ultimately, I think, you know, Mage might drop off a bit, but there's still some viable decks out there. Giggling Inventor we'll probably never see again, but I think that there are plenty of replacements for the decks that want it. And Aviana, whatever. I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully you got some information out of things. All the links are down in the description. And until next time, stay safe, stay wavy. Bye.